Welcome to Stories Podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Weldin. Today's story is called Cock-a-Doodle Dude, an adaptation of a Greek myth written for you by Daniel Hinds. Thanks! Enjoy the episode! Cock-a-Doodle Dude. Once upon a time, in ancient Greece, the god Ares was at war. Of course, Ares was the Greek god of war, so no one was much surprised by this.
"Sharpen your spears and sturdy your shields,"
he bellowed to his army of battle-hardened soldiers.
"Tomorrow, at first light, we will launch a surprise attack. We will drive the enemy off our land inch by bloody inch, for the glory of Greece."
"For Greece!" the soldiers chanted back, adding, "For Ares!" to appease the god's pride.
"Sleep well, for tomorrow you may be dining with Hades in the underworld."
The soldiers let out another raucous cheer and then set to readying their equipment and their camps. Ares walked back towards his own giant tent made of ram skin, and his top lieutenant Alectryon fell in by his side. Alectryon, called Alec by Ares and his friends, was more of a friend than a soldier. He was a young man and he wasn't much in a fight, but he loved to party and have fun. Ares also loved to celebrate, particularly after a battle, so he kept Alec close, even though the man wasn't particularly reliable. "There is a barrel of wine and a barrel of mead set out for you," Alec said, running to keep up with Ares' long strides. They were in the center of the camp, Greek soldiers surrounding them, the late-day sun glinting off swords and arrowheads. The ring of metal and the snorts of horses and the smell of sweat filled the air.
"Good lad," said Ares. "I have another job for you tonight as well."
"Oh, of course. Anything you need, sir," said Alec, which was the right way to respond to a god.
"I've had word that Helios, the sun god, is working with our enemies."
"What do we do?" asked Alec.
"We need to be up before he gets here, so he can't take us unawares. So, I need you to go to sleep early and wake up before the sun. When you see the first hints of the sun on the horizon, I need you to come and wake me up, and I'll muster the troops for battle."
"Of course," said Alec. "I'll head back to my tent right away."
"That's a good lad," said Ares.
He ruffled Alec's hair and then went into his own great tent where the sounds of a party were already in full swing. Alec turned away and started heading towards his tent. It was quiet and dark and looked much less entertaining than the parties and preparations going on around him. "Well," he said to himself, "it's still pretty early. I can go and see a few friends before bed." He turned and walked into the camp a ways until he found his friends Athen and Leon. They were sitting by a newly kindled fire, roasting some bird they'd been lucky enough to shoot.
"Alec,"
Leon called when they saw him enter the firelight.
"What a surprise!" "Truly," said Athen. "We thought you would be with Ares all night, fetching his wine and laughing at his lame jokes."
"Oh, not tonight," Alec said. "He's worried that Helios will be spying on us come morning, trying to give the other army the jump on us. It's my job to go to bed early and wake Ares up at the first light of dawn. Helios can try whatever he likes, but he's no match for Ares in a fight."
"Then go to bed, man," said Leon. "Why are you here yammering with us?"
"Oh, you sound like an old hen," said Alec. He threw himself onto a bench next to his friends and broke a still-dripping wing off the bird. He bit into the roasted skin and washed it down with a big swig of Athens wine. "I can hang for a little while and still get plenty of sleep to be up early."
"Ares will kill you,"
said Athen, taking back his wine. "Ares loves me," said Alec.
"You're a maniac," said Leon, laughing. "You can hang out with us for a few, but if you eat all of that bird, then I'll kill you myself. Pass me a wing."
They all laughed and spent an hour or so talking and joking and drinking a sweet mead that Leon had carried all the way from Syracuse.
All right, Athen said finally. "We have a battle in the morning. It's time to sleep."
"Aw, so early?" said Alec. "What's the matter? Did you miss your little nappy this afternoon?"
"You should have been asleep an hour ago," said Leon, yawning and rolling into his tent. "Now get out of here."
"Wow, what a bunch of bores," Alec said. He walked away in the general direction of his tent, not intending to go to sleep. Luckily for him, on the way to his tent, he found another huddled group of soldiers gambling. They were betting coins and throwing dice onto the lid of a keg of salted meat. A lean soldier threw the dice, and half the group cheered and scooped up the coins they had won. "Looks like fun," said Alec. He pushed his way into the group and threw down 3 heavy coins. "I'm in for the next throw. Give me those bones." The dice the soldiers were throwing were polished wood, but most dice back then were made from animal knuckle bones, so bones was the common slang. Alec made a throw and doubled his money. Invigorated, he bet it all back in and lost everything. "Oh, these dice are no good," he said. Sure, said the winner, a scruffy man with a puckered scar. "Hey, shouldn't you be with Ares anyway?" "He sent me away. I'm supposed to be sleeping so I can wake him up at dawn, but that sounded a little boring, so here I am." "Out!" shouted the scruffy man at once. "We don't want any trouble with Ares, and you're a man asking for trouble if I've ever met one." "Out? What do you mean? I'm here to play." "Get him out! Get him out!" shouted a chorus of soldiers, and Alec was roughly pushed and jostled out of the crowd, who all promptly turned their backs on him. Muttering to himself, Alec turned and headed off into the camp in a random direction. It was getting truly late now, and his head was getting fuzzy. But he refused to be sent to bed like a child. He was a grown man who could stay up all night if he wanted to. All night. A smile dawned on Alec's face. Why go to sleep early when he could just stay up all night? Sure, he might be a little tired for tomorrow, but he was never much for battle anyway. He would just hide behind Ares, or maybe pretend to be sick and stay back at the camp. It was a perfect plan. The best part being, instead of going to bed, he could keep on having fun. Congratulating himself, Alec wandered through the camp until he came upon another crowd. Here, an old gray-haired woman was looming over a fire, telling a story in masterful tones. "Apollo is the world's greatest musician," she said, "but foolish Pan thought he could play better than the god of melodies himself. So Apollo took up his harp, all gold as the sun, and waited for his turn." It was an old story, but one of Alec's favorites. He found an empty bit of grass near the fire and laid back to listen. Pan went first, and he played a soft song on his wooden pipes. It was gentle and refreshing, like a warm breeze blown over sweet grass. It was sweet and tender, like animals laying themselves to sleep in the hay. It was natural and swelling, like the gentle roar hiss of the ocean breaking and receding. It was a beautiful song. But then Apollo took up his harp. The first touch from his fingers was sweet and warm as honey spread thick. He played more and wove them together into a golden hand that seemed to reach right into your heart. The story continued, but somewhere in there, Alec drifted off into a sweet and dreamless sleep. He awoke hours later to the sounds of screams and battle. A soldier stumbled over him and fell to the ground, enemy arrows bristling in his shield. "Get up, man!" he bellowed. "The enemy is on us!" Alec jerked awake and rolled to his feet. He saw the sun burning over the horizon and felt despair wash over him like a deep nausea. He had fallen asleep. He hadn't woken Ares. He was in so much trouble.
"Fight!" roared Ares from nearby. "Come on, soldiers, to battle!"
But even as the god was bellowing commands, Helios was on him. The sun god smashed at the war god with weapons glowing hot and bright, sending out trails of molten gold where they collided. The enemy had surprised Ares' camp, and everywhere soldiers were struggling to get out of tents and don their armor amidst a raging battle. Alec stumbled away and saw his friends Leon and Athen. Leon had blood on his lips and an arrow sticking out of his side. He leaned heavily on Athen, who tried to carry him from the worst of the fighting. Alec grabbed Leon on the other side and helped them trudge back. "What happened?" Alec asked. "I got stung by a big bee," slurred Leon. "Bam, pow, what a stinger." "He's a little loopy," said Athen. "He got a kick to the head while he was still sleeping and then an arrow in the side before he could even wake up." "What happened, Alec? Weren't we supposed to be up with the dawn?" Alec was still thinking of what to say when Ares roared behind him. "Fall back!" he shouted at his soldiers. "Fall back now!" They all started to retreat, and the enemy let them go, cheering and jeering at their backs as they fled the field. Alec helped Leon to a healer's tent on the back lines and left when they assured him his friend would be okay. He exited the tent and walked right into Ares. The god was glowing with red rage, his giant sword looking heavy with anger. "What happened?" the god asked through gritted teeth. "Well, I went to bed early like I said, and then I think the enemy snuck in and—" "The truth!" roared Ares. "You had one job. Where were you at dawn?" "I stayed up too late," said Alec miserably. "I slept through the dawn." Ares swelled in size, his power and magic glowing red and misting around him. Everyone backed away, but Alec was rooted in place, too scared to even blink. "You lost us this battle," Ares roared. "But this will be the last sunrise you ever sleep through, and I promise you that." What do you mean?" "This is what I mean," Ares thundered, and Alec's world spun and slipped and flashed, and he felt small and strange, and then he fluttered to the ground. "Oh no," thought Alec. "I feel so small and weak. My lips are so chapped. My feathers are ruffled. Wait, my feathers?" With a start, Alec and all the other soldiers realized that Alec had been turned into a rooster. "This is your new body," Ares said, "and from this day forth, you'll cock-a-doodle-doo every day when the sun rises." And so it was. Alec was the world's first rooster, with all the roosters today being his distant great-great-great and so on grandsons. And Ares' curse has stuck with them, so every day at dawn, if you find yourself near a farm, you can still hear the roosters crowing, alerting everyone of the dawn, and doing the job that Alec failed to do all those years ago. The end. Thanks for listening.